So,
Oh,
Nick, thank you for joining us. So let's go back. Let's start at the beginning. So, what led you to Kingsborough Community College? And did you graduated in 2013?
2017.
Okay,
Graduated 2017.
from Brooklyn College.
No, from Kingsborough.
2017. Okay, and then from Brooklyn
Yeah.
College.
And then I went to Brooklyn College. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So let's start with Kingsborough. So, what led you to Kingsborough? And then tell us a little bit about your experiences there, about the classes that you took there.
How honest of an opinion do you want?
Sure. No, bring it on.
All right. Well, I mean, the first thing, like, the reason I went to Kingsborough is, it's kind of just one of those things where, like, oh, everyone's going to college. I should go to college because you don't really know what you're doing, right? You leave high school and it's like, do I get a job? Do I go to work? Like, what do I do? So my first semester at Kingsborough, I actually didn't know what I wanted to do. But a really good friend of mine was like, look, whatever it is, like, you don't want to spend 2 years just wasting your time taking classes that essentially aren't really going to do anything, So he was like, pick something that you're slightly interested in. And throughout high school, I was very much into film production. I used to skateboard, BMX ride, do all that fun stuff. And I always wanted to learn how to take videos of me and my friends doing that. So when I went to high school, I actually picked out a school that taught film. And, he asked me, he's like, you're interested in that. What happened with that? And, my high school curriculum really wasn't the greatest. It was super laid back. It wasn't not that it wasn't the best school, but, they really didn't drive it home. Like they taught you a couple things and then it was like, okay, like go and do the rest on your own. So I hadn't done it for a couple years. And then when I got to college, I was like, okay, or I might want to continue pursuing this, and at the time there was like, I don't know, like cool VFX YouTube videos was the thing at the time. Like you would see it all over Facebook and YouTube of people doing like the visual effects. And I was like, that actually looks pretty cool. So that kind of led me back into looking into what Kingsborough offered in terms of film and media production. And once I started, actually the first class I took was the one with you. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but it was the course where it's like the base taught you a little bit of film production, taught you a little bit of how to use Avid. It was like the starting one, and like from that point on, I was just kind of hooked. I was like, okay, this is how I remembered it. It's fun. We did I think it was like the news story program, where like, you take a crew out and you go film a news program. Um, and from that point on, I was like, I'm having fun with this. I love it. And I kept running with it.
Yeah, that class was MCB 4900. That was media production
Yes.
and editing. And back then, like prior, like around 27, after 2017 and during COVID, we started to just refocus it more for electronic news gathering, that broadcast news emphasis. But when you
Okay.
took it and before that, it was like a real mixture of, I mean, the projects are still electronic news gathering, but there was a lot of camera, understanding lighting for both, news and also like we had that balance of film. So we
Right.
were using Avid Media Composer, and I remember you took independent study with me. So that must have been where you were
Yes.
going out with a team of electronic news gatherers and creating these videos for the college, these news stories, which is great. It was a really great. For me, it was great to supervise that kind of course and seeing students go out and come back and being so productive. And then tell us a little bit more about did what you learned in that class, did that help you like at Brooklyn College or afterwards?
Yeah. So I want to emphasize this early. So I actually didn't graduate from Brooklyn College. I went to Brooklyn College after the fact, but I didn't graduate
Hmm.
from Brooklyn College. But we can get into that a little bit later. Um, so throughout Kingsborough, right? So that first course that I took with you gave me the bug back. I was like, okay, I want to get more into editing. I want to get more into, shooting and practicing it myself. So it was probably either right after I finished that course, which keep in mind, this is like the first course I took. This is my second semester at Kingsborough and the first like course I took in media production ever. Um, I bought a computer. I bought like a really cheap Canon DSLR camera just so I could practice what I learned in your class. That was the goal. I wanted to practice it as much as possible. And What was your question? Sorry, I got
Yeah. Yeah,
sorry.
did those
Went on a
skills
tangent.
like the camera
Oh,
operation, the editing, did they
the
help you?
skills, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they helped me get started, and then once I took what that class taught me, I kept trying to implement it into everything I did. Like I was doing videos for I was like a production assistant for this really weird job. I won't get too into it, but I did like a little video for them for fun. I started making like little fun YouTube videos, and essentially everything I learned in that class helped me accomplish that. And it was just a matter of practice, 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 because, you know, I feel like had I waited until I went back to class, I would have forgotten everything. And then, then you're in school for 2 years, and then 2 years goes by, and it's like, oh, I don't remember what I learned on the first lesson. So I really wanted to drive it home, and I really wanted to practice it. So that's what I was doing with what I learned from that first class. And then I don't remember how many classes it was. I took a few classes with you. I know
Yeah.
I took the advanced course. Um, we did some fun stuff with that. I Same thing. I took what we learned from there, kept practicing, kept practicing. We learned a little bit
Mhm.
about Premiere. Now, while I edited is Premiere, that might make you cringe because I know you're a diehard avid. But now, while I use Premiere, I learned that from one of your courses. So I've really been practicing it. Like the second I learned it, I started putting it into practice. That way, I don't forget it.
Yeah, so that was MCB 5100. That was the advanced media production and editing course. So we haven't been able to run that course in a while. We're revising the course to be more like digital filmmaking. But
Okay,
the core components of the course are going to remain the same. So it's single camera and multi-camera, remote studio shooting, multi-camera editing, for example. Yeah, we're still on Avid Media Composer. That's our primary editing system, but we're expanding. Like for the MCB 4900 course, the news gathering course, we're using a cloud-based editing system, so students can shoot on their phones. They can edit in the cloud. It's called Cutting Room. It's amazing,
that's pretty
and
cool.
yeah, they have access to the system 24/7. So it's like the best of both worlds. They can edit in the lab and they can continue editing at home.
Wow,
But yeah,
gonna
so
have to
we're
look into that.
yeah, and I remember 2017, so that was still around that time we're taking students out of the college to shoot as many events as possible with like
Oh
from my
yeah.
professional organizations. Can you tell us a little about those extracurricular experiences for us?
Yeah, I'm glad you touched upon that because I actually want to talk about that. So that was another thing. Bringing us out to there's a couple different events we went to. I remember there was a panel that we did. It was in Tribeca. They had just released the film, or the film hadn't come out yet, and we got to ask questions with the filmmakers. That was very informational, but I think what really helped me personally, because I'm not, and it's funny because I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day. Like, I am not a book reader at all. Like, if I took a test based off of something I read, I would fail it. I did not study for any of your classes. I probably did horrible on all your tests up until the end because I put into practice everything, like all the hands-on stuff, learning how to control the cameras, learning all the hotkeys in Avid. Like I learned all of that through practice. So I'm sure if you looked at my grades in Blackboard, it would be like C C C C C A plus because I learned everything in practice at the end of it. So it was super helpful um going out to film. I remember we went to NYU. We did something for Local 600, and we got that hands-on experience filming the events for them. I remember it was super highly produced. I don't remember what cameras we had. I think they were Panasonics, and we had like comm systems. There was like three of us on cameras. It was like over the top. I was like, wow, this is a pretty cool experience. I
Yeah,
remember that.
we still had those are those Sony NEX
Oh,
FS100
Sony ones.
cameras. We still use them. I mean, I use them. So they're not in the classes anymore. We have new 4K cameras in the classes. But I love
Nice.
those cameras. The Sony cameras are workhorses. So we now have this. It's been really challenging for us to get students to come out and do the kind of recordings that we used to do in the
Really?
past. Yeah, I think, students are like post-COVID busier. They have, family responsibilities. They may be working in the evenings, or they have like a really tight schedule. It's there's very little
Yeah.
room for them to go out. So what we've been trying to do is to create these experiences in the college. So we have we're still using these Sony cameras, but we have this live recording multi-camera unit where we can live switch. So we're
Oh, what
recording,
unit
yeah,
is that?
we just started.
What unit is that?
I
Yeah,
forgot the name.
but like what's the interface?
It's like a little tiny unit.
Is it the
Forgot the
Black
name.
Magic one?
No, it's not the Black Magic one. We do have
Oh,
that. Yeah, afterwards I'll look it up and I'll let you know what it is. But it's incredible because you can live stream and you can record USB. So I have the students live switch while we're recording the event. So this saves us so much time in post-production because we don't have to edit.
that's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah. And so yeah, so that's actually part of a class. So we're like if you're taking like I'm teaching television studio production now,
Hmm.
and I started teaching it in the spring semester. We did almost 16 productions as part of that class.
Wow.
Yeah. So, right, like from day one, students are doing real like multi-camera production. So they're interviewing each other. So it becomes like it becomes more relevant to them because they're doing something about themselves and about their classmates. And I think that helps with the instruction because it helps them, they understand, oh, if I don't cut to the camera correctly, it's going to ruin the production for my friend, or, Professor Costa's going to have to take this home and fix it, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, so it's been going well, and so I'm hoping that in the fall semester we are going to continue that, take it to the next level. Plus, we just got in a podcasting station that's going to be part of the television studio course.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's incredible. I'll give you the details about that because I'm forgetting
I'm gonna
what
have
it's
to come
called.
check it out.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And we have PTZ cameras, pan, tilt, and zoom cameras,
Yeah.
those
Yeah, those are
controllers,
cool.
DMX controllers for the lighting. So students are going to be able to get, especially in today's age where digital content creation is becoming like the next 9 to 5 job. Students are spending so much time with it.
Yeah, I definitely want to touch on that. I don't know how much time we have for this, but so all right, so I'll fast forward my story a little bit, and then we'll hop into that. So, uh, post Kingsborough, post practicing everything, I finished in the winter semester. And then it was weird. I finished in the winter, but I graduated in like May or June, whenever the graduation is. And then I didn't start at Brooklyn College until August. So you figure if I finished in February and I didn't go back till August, that's 6 months where no school, no nothing. So, kind of like I said earlier, I really took what I learned and just tried to drive it home as hard as possible. It was constant practicing. I'm not a famous YouTuber, but I was just making like fun YouTube videos just so I could learn something every single time I launched Avid. Well, it started Avid, turned into Premiere. But anytime I launched Avid or Premiere, I wanted to learn something new. And it was really funny because it was just like a 24/7 kind of thing of your course, only I took it myself to practice it. So I would go film something and I would go to edit it and then I would look at it and I would be like, this is horrible. I should have taken this shot or I should have added this shot. So then I'll go out and add that shot and then I'll put it in. And then like the next time I went to film, I would learn that. Or like a transition or an effect or a new hotkey. Every video I did had to have something new that I learned. And I did that for 6 months straight from February until August. And then after I started Brooklyn College, I had to take a lot of like the core classes again. It was like a science class and like a math course, and like it kind of sucked because I went from full media production classes only when I left to now I'm taking these courses again, and it wasn't fun because I felt like I was forgetting. Like I said earlier, like if you really take the things you learn in the classroom and you put into practice, you really learn how to do it. And I felt like I was starting to forget. And like I had helped a friend do something in Premiere, and I was like, I don't remember how to do this. So that led me to stopping school, and I had I was very like in over my head. I got like one or two very small paying gigs in that time frame, and I was like, I'm just gonna do it for work and start my business. So that's what I did. Um, I will say this though, like going out to the events and doing the networking things and volunteering to film, even if you're not getting paid, even if you're there, because we were there for like 5, maybe 6 hours. We would get there at 7 o'clock in the morning just to set up for them to start at like 10 or 11, and then we'd be there till like 4 o'clock. And we didn't get paid, but the benefit of that is you're learning to work with a crew. You're learning to network because you're talking. to your fellow classmates that are there with you. You're talking with professionals that are there. And I feel like for the most part, especially you, because you have a lot of connections, you really help bridge the gap between the professionals and the students because you're able to be like, oh, this is Nick. He's interested in videography and cars. You should see his little car outside. It's like crazy. And then that led to me talking to somebody else about a car and then talking to somebody else about what cameras they're using and how they got into it. So, while the classroom is important, and definitely network with your peers and learn to work with them and keep in touch because you never know what jobs are going to come from student connections and friends that you make in college. And trust me, I wish I could count how much money certain friends from college have put in my pocket, but also really take the connections and take the initiative to do the extracurricular stuff and put that time in because you never know who you're going to meet. I've met a couple of different professionals that have worked on um, like Quinnell. I remember when we met him, he was filming the Daredevil Netflix series, which had like just come out, and that was like mind blowing. And he had like so much information to share with everybody, And on top of that, like doing stuff with other schools. I don't know if you still work with like BMCC, but I met people from those schools that I'm still friends with, and like I'll ask somebody, "Hey, I have this job coming up. You think you could do this?" And like they'll hit me up, and super random too. But I still have friends that I work with like to this day from Kingsborough. So definitely like
Yeah.
take the
Yeah.
experiences with you when you leave.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that you started Brooklyn College, but you didn't finish it. In the 2-year program, right, at Kingsborough Community College in media arts and the core Kingsborough courses that you need to graduate, we try like to make sure that like I direct a program as if this is it for the student. This is what they need to be able to make a living after they
Right,
graduate. If they continue to the 4-year college and they get that bachelor's degree, I mean that's valuable too. But if they have everything, if they had the tool set that they need and the knowledge base to go into the workforce and be able to survive, that's great too. And I remember, yeah, so I'm still like working with the Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers, a little bit less with the motion picture unions these days, but we still have connections with them, like with the Editors Guild and the camera guild. Um, and the I think what I want to say is that those experiences are valuable, not just for the student, but for me too, because once I transitioned from the workforce and started working in academia full time, you tend to forget things.
right,
You need to edit for real and shoot for real, so that things are still relevant and things change in the industry all the time. I can read about like the virtual production, but I won't really understand it unless I'm talking to someone that works in virtual production using
right,
LED walls, and really listen to them. It's like, oh, we're having problems with this, or this is working out really well. And that's the same thing when I took students out to the camera union events where we had the cinematographers would be there to answer questions after a screening. During the breakfast, I would get to talk to the camera professionals too. And, I would say, I noticed on this show that you're working on, you have a lot of different angles, but your cameras are so low. And then I remember one time one of the camera people, this is from the Blacklist, they said they shoot with a lot of cameras. And so they don't see each other, they shoot low angle, pointing up. So that's really interesting. And I bring that into the classroom.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's really cool that you're implementing the podcasting. Because it like I feel like when I was it's gonna sound like forever ago. It really wasn't that long ago. We're talking like what, 7 years ago. But when I was in college, there was like this weird transition of um I feel like network television was starting to die down, even cable TV was starting to die down, and more like YouTube. Um, you know, Instagram started adapting to where you can do video now. Facebook videos are becoming like more popular. It's really starting to transition, or it really has transitioned already, I should say, from broadcast and network television to internet. However, it may be streaming live or streaming, or posting to a platform. It's really transitioned, and I like that you guys are starting to implement the podcasting course because that's a very big thing. I feel like everyone and their mother has a podcast now. And I actually one of my clients, I produce a podcast for them. So like you're telling me about like the switch you use, and like we're gonna have a whole conversation about gear and equipment later. But it's very interesting to me because, you know, in the past year for this one particular client, like we completely flipped the podcast production around just to make it easier. Like the way we were doing it at first was very manageable, but the way we do it now is like very similar to how you just explained to me that you do it with your students, which is like we live switch, the edit is done at the end of it. We record to an SSD all the feeds, and unless usually it falls on me. I have a guy that helps me, but unless I accidentally press the wrong button at the wrong time, there's really not much to do to it. We have a whole like audio interface and all that stuff. So we really like tighten that up. So I think it's really cool that you guys are implementing that into the curriculum because I'm already practicing it and I'm like 7 years later. These guys can go and practice it as soon as they finish school, if not, depending on how fast their learners they are, as soon as they finish that course, you know.
Exactly. Oh, it's Sprolink, a Sprolink little unit by NeoLive. It's
I'll look into that.
yeah, it's really really
How many
cool.
inputs?
Four.
Okay. Yeah, I have I asked you about the Black Magic one. I have the small one with the four inputs also.
Yeah, and then we do. I mean, it's really important. You talk about the different camera feeds. In television studio production, we do live switching, but we're not able to record the ISO cameras. So
I
in
know.
case something needs to be fixed, it's really challenging. But with this like podcasting remote unit, we're able to record in camera and also record the live cut. So that if we need to go back, students can see, oh, here's the live switch, the
Yeah.
program, and I have access to the isolated cameras in case I need to fix something. So we
Yeah.
rarely had to do that, but it's so valuable because that's the way it is, in the industry. You
Yeah.
should be able to go and access those isolated cameras. Um,
Yes.
hmm
No, you really need to save yourself. And this is one of the trial and error things where like if I knew this class existed or if it existed a year ago, I probably would have hopped on like come back for one, the one class. But yeah, so one of the issues we were having is that the ISO recording, um originally, we were doing just the cameras, so we had to import all the footage and then we had to edit the multicam. So that was taking up at least for like an hour podcast, hour and a half podcast, at least 2 to 3 hours just playing it through and doing the switching and post. So using the switcher really cut the time back for that. But then also the audio, recording the audio, originally we only had it on one track. So like if you and I are sitting next to each other and then you scream and then it peaks, but I'm also talking over you, we lose what I said. So, we got an interface to where now we were actually record to audition and we record each individual audio track. So that kind of saves us. And then also some people talk louder than others. So like in post, we can fix that. Same thing with the video switcher. So like I'm redundant on top of redundant on top of redundant. Like I have two video feeds and like three or four different audio feeds just because like you never know what could go wrong. So I'd rather be extra prepared. I'm talking like we have so much footage. We went from almost triple the data now from when we started it a year ago. Like one podcast episode shooting in 1080 is maybe like 400 gigs, 400 gigs, just because of the redundancy. But it saves us in the end because sometimes equipment fails. There's been times where the video switcher has shut off on me or it stopped ISO recording. And instead of panicking, I'm just like, okay, let me figure this out while the cameras are still recording. So like I'm behind the scenes, like, running around trying to plug things in. I have another guy helping me, run around. They would never know it. They would never know it. They just casually go on with the interview. So it's cool that does that and you can show them this is the way to do it, but this is also like the fail safe to do it. So I kind of wish you had that course a couple
Yeah,
years ago.
originally we thought we should have like an individual podcasting course. But my feeling was let's just like we just increased television studio was 3 credits, 3 hours when you took it. Now it's 3 credits, 5 hours. Can you
Oh wow.
imagine what we can do with that time? And that's why we were able to do so
That's a
many
lot of
live
time.
productions.
Yeah.
So in television studio, we revised the curriculum. So it's not just television studio multi-camera production, but it's also remote multi-camera production. It's also digital content creation multi-camera productions. So we're just going to, and we did this for the first time in the spring semester, and everything, I mean, of course, we had problems, but everything worked out so well. And we're really, right now, we're also um, changing the television studio a little bit, cleaning it, and just integrating new equipment. And we're hoping to just get back in there and make sure that the course runs very smoothly in the 12 weeks that we have and the 5 hours that we have for this course, where students can learn how to do everything and then also incentivize them to join a club. So we're creating like a digital content creation club so that students who want to explore this more can create their own shows, can live stream, for example, using the same equipment.
You just triggered a memory I forgot I had. So actually, one of the things we did, and the friend I was talking to was Karina. She helped start the I forgot the name of it. I don't remember if it was media or film and TV. I don't remember the name of the club, but
That's the
she helped
club, the Media
start the
Production Club.
club.
Yeah,
Yeah. And in that project, if I forgot how many of us were there, but like so many of us still talked after the fact or still talk to this day. And, it's like at really random times. I see her if I'm lucky once a year, but she was like, oh yeah, I was just talking to this person or this person that was like in the club. And, we did like a small little like film production and like we all learned how to work together. Everybody brought one person had lights, one person had like the latest Sony camera, one person could edit, and like my role in that was editing. And I remember so many times she used to work in Harlem, and because she was like producer and in charge of it, I after I would have an edit, I would have to like go and show her, and my computer was so slow. Instead of export and upload, I would literally just go and be like, okay, what changes do you want? And be like, at her job, sitting at the bar, like making changes on my
yeah,
laptop. But it was cool because everybody brought what they had. And even though we're all students and even though we're still learning, like we all put 100% into it, and you could really see the effort out of people, whether it was acting or camera or lighting, directing, script writing, like everybody put 100% into that project. And I actually still have it. It's on one of I think it's on I think that's what started me doing the YouTube thing. I think I put that on YouTube so that way everybody could watch it. And then
hmm
like after that, I just started like posting my own stuff. I don't think it's visible on YouTube anymore. Maybe I have to send you a private link
yeah.
if you
I
want to
think it's
check it out.
was that like a horror black and white
It was like
short
a black and
film?
white horror
Yeah,
thing.
I remember
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Yeah, so with the Media Production Club, so it's been inactive for a little while, so we're hoping to reactivate it in the fall semester. And again, and we want to make sure that students have the freedom to do like what you're just describing with our support. They want to do digital content creation, let's do that. They want to make a short film, let's do that. So we're hoping to just be as supportive as possible, and hoping that students want to be able to have the time and also have the be incentivized to be part of this club, like the radio club. So the radio club is still very strong, is very well organized. Students
Oh,
get
really?
trained, they get training, and then they do DJing. They have these shifts that they come and do. So it's really amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so we're just striving to be better. We're integrating screenwriting into the writing course. So we're excited about that. And so if you could give a student just starting at Kingsborough in the fall semester any advice, what would it be?
Is it like just one thing or like can I
It
just
could be
run off?
whatever comes to mind.
Um, I would say this is gonna sound like super cliche, but like just run with your ideas. If you have an idea that you want to implement, try and do your best to make it come to life because I feel like that's gonna give you that little extra push and, like you said, be more of an incentive for you to actually want to do it and complete it. You know, like at the end of the day, if you don't enjoy doing it, especially when it comes like as much of a technical thing that's as this is, it's very much so creative. Like you really have to dig into your creativity. Like you could learn all the custom keys in Avid, you could learn how all the cameras work, but if you don't have the creative vision, or if you're not seeing the creative vision and you don't have the drive to do it, I feel like that's going to kind of hold you back. So try and do things that you enjoy. Find those friends that also enjoy what it is that you're doing, and then you guys can all just come together and just come in and produce your video. Um,
Okay.
Yeah,
And then
I would say that.
okay, and then for students that transfer to a senior college, for example, like from your experience, is there something you could, if they really want to pursue that 4-year degree, is there something you can offer them as advice so that they can kind of manage not being as productive as they were at Kingsborough and still manage to get that attain that bachelor's?
This is gonna sound horrible. I mean,
Okay.
if I feel like Kingsborough offered everything. So if you weren't productive, if you weren't taking as initiative in Kingsborough, I feel like you kind of dropped the ball on that because for me, I went 110% at it. And once I got to a 4-year program, it kind of died off. And I'm not gonna blame the school. I'm more so gonna blame it on probably because I waited too long to register for classes, so I took all the boring classes. But try and start from the beginning. Try and start from the beginning and just go with it as hard as possible. Really bring it home. And if at any point you feel like I kind of don't want to do this or like it's getting hard or you might not be as interested, just finish the whole course in Kingsborough. Take everything. Take the independent study if you guys still do that. Take the advanced course. Take every single course because each one is a little bit different. Even take the extra, like take like Pro Tools. I remember I took Avid Pro Tools. I had no intentions of doing sound design, but I was like, it's something extra, it's something cool to learn. I might have it in my back pocket for one day. Take the radio course, learn about audition, learn about like learn every single aspect of it because that'll kind of lead you to what you want to do for the 4-year college and help you narrow down and pick that school and pick that course, which will kind of drive you. Because let's face it, at the end of the day, if you don't want to do it or like if you're not as interested, you're not going to do it. So
Yeah, yeah.
definitely pick what you're interested in while you're at Kingsborough and then really like drive it home in the 4-year college, whichever one that may be.
Yeah, I think what we'll start doing is talking to students about the programs that they're transferring to. For example, once they take the all the courses at in Kingsborough, they can take advanced courses at their senior college. So, for example, if you wanted to take an advanced, multi-camera production course, you took it at Kingsborough already, but there may be something else that you can take, a more advanced level course at the senior college. So that's something that I think we need to work on, making sure students really understand the options and how long it's going to take for them to. It's going to be another 2 years of
Yeah,
4 courses, which may not be in production, of course. But then there still be those other production courses, and a lot of our classes transfer as advanced courses. So I don't know, I don't remember if you remember media technology. That class transfers into a 200 level course at Brooklyn College. So yeah, I'm
is
really
that
happy.
is that
That's
51?
No, that
Is
was
that
4600. So that's the one where we talk
4600?
about the transition from analog to digital, next
Okay.
generation, post-production workflows, and things like
I think
that.
I still have the textbook from that somewhere. I'm pretty sure I do.
Yeah, I know, and I saw you. I did peek into your grades from when you were a student. It wasn't so bad. Although when you mentioned Pro Tools, I saw you got like a C plus in Pro Tools. I was like, what?
Yeah. That's all it's practice, man. I'm sure that last grade was probably at least a B in
Yeah, one of the
comparison,
things
but
that we're doing too. We have a professional musician and artist teaching Pro Tools now. It's incredible. We
nice.
have a professional broadcaster that still works in radio teaching the radio course. And that course now has a more of an audio production emphasis. So students are creating so many different types of audio projects and learning
That's
about the
awesome.
radio industry and how it's changed and converged and things like that. And we have a new instructor starting in the fall semester. Her name is Amanda Perez. She has a electronic news gathering background. So she's going to bring like that kind of like level experience into the instruction, which we're looking forward to.
Cool.
And yeah, and we're also going to create a film studies concentration for students that are interested in movies and learning about movies,
Like the
analyzing
history
movies.
of
Yeah, yeah, and
yeah.
analyzing.
I thought there was a course for that. I forgot his name. But
Professor
I'm pretty sure
Small.
I took a course like that. Professor
Yeah,
Smalls, yeah.
yeah.
His course was actually pretty nice. I enjoyed his class.
Yeah, so we do
Um,
have three of them right now. We have Film the Creative Medium, which is the first level course, which is now a required course in the media arts program. We
yeah,
have
I'm
film,
pretty sure that was required when I took it.
Yeah, we have film genre, film and society, and we want to create two more classes to create a concentration, selected directors
Okay.
and national cinema. So yeah, we're already working on the curriculum for these film studies courses, like working on like the cinema of Poland, the cinema of Czechoslovakia, cinema of Italy, and Germany and things like that. So we're excited about that.
Okay. Yeah, there's a similar one I took at that semester I did at Brooklyn College. Who was it there? We were studying Elliot Kazan. And I remember because I also still have that book, and that book, the the font is like this. The book was like this big. It was like crazy. But that was a fun course too, because like we would watch the old films, we would study them, we would talk about like what was going on at the time, like anti-Semitism and stuff like that. It was really crazy how like the films related to the times
Hmm.
and the differences in like how things back then wouldn't fly now, or like it's so different.
Exactly. Well, I want to be respectful of your time, Nick. Thank you for joining us and sharing your experiences with us. And you're always welcome to come back to Kingsborough Community College. And I follow you on Facebook, and I remember all these years you would be posting all these videos, and you're like, "Oh, I got this new gear. I can hook a
Oh my
camera to
gosh,
to my
we could
car."
talk gear. We could talk gear for hours. I'll like briefly touch upon that. So just talking about like the production company, I do a lot of different things. I do weddings, special events. I have a live production next week, and funny enough, we were going to use PTZs. We're actually going to use mirrorless cameras only because we want to be mobile with them on the stabilizers. We're going to be using video switchers. I do like the podcasting stuff, do a lot of different things, but the car stuff, that's where I say like pick something that you enjoy because like I'll go film at the racetrack. The podcast I do is with professional race car drivers and automotive influencers. Like it really just kind of keeps me going at the end of the day. Like if I was interviewing, I don't know, like a baker or something, like I don't care about stuff like that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I really took everything I learned, found what I enjoyed doing and managed to like combine the two. Like even for my independent study, I think I did like a short car film or something like
Yes.
that.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was
And
incredible.
and that was exciting because I was like, oh, I can manage to combine the two. And I've been doing it since. So
Yeah, no, that just what you just something you said kind of like maybe reminded me of something. So we were shooting this fashion show at the college in the spring semester, and
mhm.
our remote unit is still wired, so we have 50-foot long HDMI cables. And one of the students was like, it was everything's very professional, right? We're communicating via remotes and things like that. And one of the students was like, Professor, I really wish I could be up front with a handheld camera getting the runway. And I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, you should be able to do that. We should be able to have cameras much further away in different angles. So we're getting these wireless adapters for our cameras. So we're going to be able to place the cameras anywhere in the space and not have to worry about wires.
which ones? I gotta know. I
Oh my
gotta know
God.
which ones.
I completely forgot, but I'll send you the information. But it's yeah, we
We're
can't wait
we're
to get
we're
this
running
into.
Hollyland next week. We're running Hollylands next week for this production. They don't have the best range,
Yes,
and they're
that's
kind of
the
like
one.
line of
Yeah,
sight. But oh
that's the
yeah,
one.
the
Yeah,
the 400s, or
I think so.
we could talk about that later. But
Yeah,
we're going to be running Hollylands next week. We're doing it's a live performance. It's a client I've worked with. It's like a family member. He's in a band. It's a live performance. We're gonna have three camera operators floating around on stabilizers, and then we're gonna have two stationary cameras. So the three will be wireless, and then those two extra ones will be same thing, 50-foot HDMI cables just
yeah.
running, so we could
Yeah,
do
yeah.
that.
No, and yeah, they are line of sight. But when I was doing the research, they seem to be the most like affordable, professional, but not that expensive,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. So that's great.
Yeah, that
All
they
right.
work. I would just say just be careful if you're gonna use your switcher and do like a live record, just be careful. Sometimes the connection gets a little wonky. So definitely keep recording internally,
Yeah,
as a fail safe.
absolutely. All right, Nick. So I'm gonna stop recording now. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.